What is going on, everybody? Explicit here on MLB The Show 23, and today we are going to talk about the marketplace. This is just going to be some simple tips, not even so much tricks, just tips on how you can make stubs, even if you don't have that many. I mean, I have 26,000. Barely done too much. Actually, I haven't really done anything in the marketplace. Really been just trying to play the game a little bit before I dive into it. A lot of times it's not the greatest until everyone has the game, but there can obviously still be some stubs to be made. It's just that not a lot of people are buying, not a lot of people are selling. At least some of the stuff that you're going to want to look at. Obviously, very base overview, very high level overview. You're wanting to look at the buy now to the sell now, and understand that there's a 10% tax on everything that you sell. So if you sell this Ricky Henderson for $150,000, you're not getting $150,000. You're going to get about 134, 135, something about that. They're taking 10% off the top, and that's what you get. So always keep that in mind when you are looking at your profit here. Now, players, they can be profitable, but the problem with players is that a lot of them they could be high risk, right? So if you pay, say, this is not a terrible margin here, Bob Piller. If you pay $86,000, say you get him for $87,000, and all of a sudden his price starts tanking, and you can't sell him. All of a sudden you don't sell him until he's down to 94,000. Suddenly you lost. You have now lost after that tax. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's just something that could happen. So players, at least these high value players, just know that there's always a risk associated with it. Something like this, Tim Anderson, honestly not terrible. If you could even buy him for, 53 and say list him up for 80. Try to get that quick sell. I know a lot of people don't like that, and they want you to just list one below, because listing drastically lower can obviously change the market, because all of a sudden if people are undercutting, that can drop the price. Now maybe people won't be happy with me saying this, but I mean, I do it. I think it's worth potentially trying to get that quick sell. Like, someone's going to see, ooh, that's a deal. Boom. They're going to try to buy it. If you sell that for $80,000, you profit about $72,000. I mean, you just made $20,000 just like that. So keep that in mind. But early, obviously, that's if you have some stubs to play with, if you're willing to risk those stubs. What I would look at personally, if I was you, I would stay away from the players. I'm not saying that they are not potentially valuable, maybe even later on. But at this point, with us not knowing exactly what's going into certain sets, different things like that, maybe not quite yet. But some of these event players, things like that, unless they do what they did last year and bring them back in like a pack you can get through ranked player, through the events, different things like that, that really killed their value, because 2 years ago, those players were great to invest in because you needed them for sets later on. When they brought that pack in last year that basically allowed you to get those players even after the event was gone, that absolutely killed their value. There was no point in investing in them. So things I would look into investing in right away, early on, you don't need a ton of stubs, is equipment. Equipment can be a great way to make a few thousand stubs here or there. Again, you're going to have ones that are expensive, and these are a risk, especially I think even more so for equipment. I'm not paying $35,000 for cleats. No way. Some people do, obviously, but it's just something that's kind of what I keep in my mind. Would I pay for this? Do I think they're actually going to go for this? And how quick are they going to sell? They might eventually sell for $50,000, but how quick? And are you going to get undercut? And it's one of those things that I kind of steer away from those. Something more along the lines of this, not a crazy margin. If you were to buy it for, say, $1,650, sell it for $3,000, you're getting about a little over $1,000. But you do that a handful of times, and that adds up. And this one actually has a decent amount, it looks like, for sale. Some of these, that's just one thing you want to look at, is we'll try to find one maybe that doesn't have a ton up, like here, we'll go Birdman. So only 4 are up. So initially you're like, wow, that's a great margin. But to me, that also means that there's not too many of them out there. So are you actually going to get, is someone going to sell it to you for $38.50? Probably not. They probably are going to know what they have, and they're probably going to hold on to it. Maybe it's not worth, maybe it's still worth putting one out there, trying to see if you can get it. But that's just something to keep in mind and I think that will change as more people start playing the game. But like this, huge margin, huge margin. A lot of people selling it. Honestly, not a lot of people asking to buy for it. So for example, I might just try. We'll see. We'll go 12. What was it? 12,000 flat. So I'm gonna create a buy order for just 12. I'll even go up 500. I'll try to get somebody to make that jump for me. 12.5. We'll see if we can't get this on video here. That's another crazy margin. But again, flip flopped how I want to see it. 0 and 1,000. These ones, again, they're just 1,000. It's just kind of tough to make it too much of a margin. But I know last year I made a ton off of bats. This must just be nobody. Yeah, so one guy has it. He's trying to sell it for 50,000. But just keep in mind, look for things like that. And wow, again, another absolutely crazy margin. Holy smokes! I'm going to try and go for that as well. We'll just go for 10,000. Some of these margins are just too hard to not try to get. That's insane. But look for things like that. Some of those are going to be too good to be true, but it's not a terrible idea to look for them. Another thing is perks. Now, with it being so early in the game and maybe not knowing, again, what the meta is, different things like that because last year, Road to the Show was such a great way to earn XP and different things like that. To progress, these became very valuable. A lot of them were truly selling for 10,000, and maybe these are. I'm not too sure. I'm not sure how difficult they are to get. That's on me. I just don't know yet. I personally haven't dove into Road to the Show yet, but in the past, like I said last year, these were valuable as well. Not even necessarily these diamond ones. If you even went to the gold. Just look for margins. Look for what's worth your time. Like here, if I buy that for 1,500, I sell it for 35. To me, that's worth my time. That's 1,700 profit. I will take that. I have no problem with that. It's not something that, it sounds maybe minimal. I keep forgetting what I want to buy it for. Maybe to some people like, oh, only 1,700, but that adds up. You do that 10 times, and suddenly that's a pretty decent profit, right? And so that's just one thing to keep in mind, especially for having low stubs. You can build them up, and one thing to keep in. I keep saying it, and just remember, when you're looking at these, you're obviously going to, it might hurt to see your stub count down, but just know that it will turn around. Just know if you're risking it for some kind of major purchase, that's what I'm talking about. Make sure that you're willing to risk only what you're willing to lose, right? Because there's no guarantee that you're going to sell that for what it's going for. Especially right now, times are weird. The market is going to shift when everybody gets the game 100%. Will it shift for the good? Will it shift for the bad? That's hard to say. So it's kind of hard to say what to possibly invest in right now. But I wouldn't necessarily invest in anything personally right now. But at least trying to maybe flip some of these cards, flip the market a little bit, work it. I think that's a great idea. I really do. Maybe looking for cards that will only be in for a little bit might not be terrible, but again, if they bring back a pack that allows those cards to be purchased later on, maybe not worth it. So that's just a couple, super, again, very high level way to make some stubs early on. You can go from having 2,000 stubs, you can work that up to having 50,000 stubs. I did it last year. It's 100% possible. It's going to be slow. It's going to be a grind. But obviously, you're playing the game, right? You're other stuff as you do this. So you put in these buy orders, go play mini seasons, go play conquest, go do something, check it periodically, or maybe if you're out of the game and you see it pop up, go sell it. Just be doing two things at once, right? I mean, if you're just sitting here just thinking, man, what if I got that buy yet, or I wonder if it's sold yet? It's gonna be grueling. It's gonna be very boring. You're probably gonna stop doing it. So go put your buy orders in. Go play the game. If your buy order hasn't been filled in a time that you think is worth it, then go look and see if someone's completely undercutting you. If the price has changed a ton, maybe cancel your order, because chances are you're probably not going to get it for that much. But if it's still similar, if it's right around where you put your order in or where you're trying to sell it, either way, patience. Patience is key. It will most likely sell unless you're asking for an unreasonably cheap price or you're asking them to sell it for an extremely high amount. There might be a reason for that. So just try to be patient. Remember, this is definitely the slow game. These margins aren't huge unless you're going for one of those crazy, risky purchases. Super quick tips. It's what helped me last year. It could help you as well for any of those no money spent people. Obviously, if you're spending money, ripping packs, selling cards, all that stuff is going to be a great way to sell stuff or to make stubs. Obviously, even for no money spent, the free packs you do get, especially early in the game like this, maybe if you're not concerned about selling or completing the collections, it might not be a terrible idea to sell some of these silvers, sell some of these bronze that maybe you're selling for a decent amount. $398 for bronze, I should probably sell him. $491 for bronze, I should probably sell him. I don't think it's a terrible idea. Some of the players, if you're using them on your team or different things like that, maybe not. Because also with mini seasons, there's different lineups that you can have. So just keep that in mind when you do start selling some of these players. But if you're not concerned about completing the collections, maybe sell these guys. Especially sell duplicates for sure. Sell everything right now. Do not quick sell. Sell everything. I would also not recommend putting things into collections or exchanges. Sorry, not collections, exchanges. That at this point I don't think is a good idea, especially if you know it's money spent. Sell. Everything will add up. Trust me, it will. I went from no stubs to 3 million last year, which again, to some people, maybe that's not a ton, but for me, 3 million, it gave me the ability to do whatever I wanted on the game, which is what I enjoy. So keep that in mind. Use it if you want. Again, everything's a risk, so do it at your own, leisure. If you're willing to risk some stubs, do it, but know when to pull out. If you see it tanking, I would not think to yourself, it's going to bounce back. It most likely will not. Get out. I hope you liked the tips, and if you did, it means the world if you subscribe, like, comment down below, what's your favorite team? And we'll catch you in the next video. Peace.